Good morning. My name is Joost Ebers, and I'm a researcher at the Netherlands Institute for Public Safety in Arnhem. I'm a researcher on projects regarding fire prevention and firefighting, and I'm also a fire investigator for the fire department of the region Gelderland-Midden. And in the city where I live, Nijmegen, I'm a voluntary firefighter, and I use the practical experience again in our research. Unfortunately, my presentation isn't live because today, at this moment, is also the start of a new training course at our Institute for new fire investigators from the police department and fire brigade, and I have to be there. Sorry for that, but I hope you get my message. And I will start my presentation now. Okay. As a fire investigator, I see how products can be the cause of a fire, or how products can influence the fire and the fire development. And I also see the impact that a fire has in somebody's life or business. And when the fire trucks drive away and you are at the fire scene as a fire investigator, you are often there with the resident or the business owner of the commercial building. And in most cases, they tell me that the fire is an incident they thought would never happen to them. And they are in shock about the damage the fire did to their building and their personal items. Some of the fires are the result of human actions. For example, hot work at a location where insufficient safety measures have been taken, or fire during cooking at home. And of course, there are also fires, and the cause of the fire, people didn't play a big role in it. Example of these are fires that start in electrical equipment, a device, or a part of the building installation. When you buy a product, or buy a house, or buy a building, or rent a building, you expect to get quality that is promised and for which you have paid. And I will start with the most common fire in the Netherlands. It's a cooking pan with oil on fire in the kitchen. And it was in a house where people live together and get some care. And one of the employees tries to extinguish the fire with a fire blanket, the blanket you see on the picture. It didn't work because the fire burned through the fire blanket. And one person was injured because the fire burned through the blanket and needed some treatment by a doctor. And we as fire investigators was called to the scene by the crew commander because he had this doubt about the fire blanket. How can a fire burn through the fire blanket? Because it's in the kitchen to extinguish the fire when the oil gets too hot and there are flames on it. The incident was reported to the Netherlands Food and Consumer Product Safety Authority, and they already knew that some types of fire blankets were not suitable for extinguishing oil or grease on fire. And this was brought to their attention by the Dutch Burn Foundation, and the manufacturers of the fire blankets had already been given the opportunity to take action themselves and to inform the consumers. But that they didn't do that until the moment the fire in my region happened. And this incident was used to force the manufacturers to go public with problem and to inform the consumers about the fact that fire blankets are not going to do what you would expect them to do, to extinguish an oil or grease pan on fire if you put a fire blanket over it. And I wondered who supervises the quality of these products before something will happen. For several years now, we have seen a trend that more and more devices, toys, and means of transportations are electrified and have batteries in them. Yeah. The number of fires caused by that kind of products with batteries as a power supply is increasing. And maybe it's logical because we are using more and more devices with batteries, and that increases the chance that such a device is the cause of a fire. There is one big problem with these products. That is the speed at which the fire develops, and in particular the speed in which the toxic smoke is produced, the speed of the smoke and the speed of the spread of smoke throughout the building. This is the danger for people present in the building. And unfortunately, in recent weeks, there have been reports in the media that people have died as a result of a fire that started in a battery pack. And I was called as a fire investigator for a fire in the living room. And you see the picture on the screen. It was not a very big fire. It was a small fire, and the fire was some sort of overboard that had been on fire. And the mother of the family was sitting on the sofa in the living room and was watching the TV. The overboard was being charged next to the living door room. The door of the living room, and her escape route. The device ignited with a loud bang, and big flames and a lot of smoke came out of the device. And the mother had to jump through the fire and smoke to get to her children who were asleep upstairs. And she was on time and got the children out, and they all were safe. The mother had some smoke inhalation and was treated for that. A neighbor who happened to pass by on the street at that moment, they came out, dragged the device outside, and managed to extinguish the fire with water. And luckily, the position of the hoverboard was not near some very flammable materials, or else the fire would get bigger and bigger. And they bought a toy for the children, and of course they assumed it was a safe product. After a couple of incidents, the Netherlands Food and Consumer Product Safety Authority started to investigate these kind of devices, and they are sold in large numbers in the Netherlands. The researchers found that all the hoverboards that were examined had serious shortcomings. And I wondered, shouldn't we notice that before? Should we notice that before or after the fire? And I hope we notice it before a fire, because a fire in a house or in a building is not something we want. And in the examples I just mentioned, so the fire blanket and the hoverboard, it's still possible to take action. For example, a recall or a sales ban, if you're not allowed to sell product that have serious shortcomings. And the device you see on the picture, it was purchased in a store. And there are more cases that there are questions about the quality of the products. For example, this electric massage pillow. There's not much left, and it's very difficult to see what happened inside of the massage pillow, because everything is melted together. And when I ask the owners, where did you buy the product? Often they tell me they bought the product online outside the European Union, at a certain well-known web shops. I say the name, and it worries me because it's difficult to get some information, and also difficult to find out are there more sold in the Netherlands or not. Yeah. Oh, sorry. And also buildings must comply with all kinds of fire safety requirements. A product that's a part of the building is tested in accordance with the standards. And a contractor must trust that the products that are used for the building also have the quality and fire safety that is promised. And in a hotel, a fire started in a vertical shaft adjacent to the central staircase. The shaft contained pipes and cables for the hotel, the installations of the hotel. And there were also cables inside for the fire alarm system and the evacuation alarm system. And they had function retention. That means if the cables are in the fire, they can withstand the fire for 30 minutes. The shaft wasn't equipped with fire detection. The fire was discovered when smoke detectors on different floors went into alarm seconds after each other. So suddenly there was a lot of spread of smoke throughout the building. And due to the speed with which the smoke spread through the building, the escape routes were blocked for a lot of people. And as a firefighter, the picture you see on the screen is not the image you want to see when you arrive at a hotel after a fire alarm. And due to the fire in the shaft, the cables of the evacuation alarm system also burned out. And a part of the alarm system in the building didn't work anymore. Many of the hotel guests were unaware of the fire until the emergency services arrived on the scene. This fire raised questions. Did the cables in the shaft comply with the fire safety requirements? And unfortunately, as a fire investigator, you don't have the time to investigate this. And none of the other parties, the insurance company or other persons involved, they didn't investigate it. And another problem is that everything in the shaft was burned. And we must be able to assume that the products we purchase comply with the fire safety requirements. The impact of a fire on somebody's life or somebody's business is huge. As a fire investigator, I will continue to report if I come across products where there are doubts about the degree of fire safety. But it would be better if we can rely on the fact that we buy fire safe products that comply. And I reached the end of my presentation. Thank you for your attention. If there are any questions, René Hagen is online at this moment, and if he can answer your questions, and if he can't answer the questions, I will get the question and answer it for you. Thank you very much, and stay safe.